Hey everyone, me Kevin here. The hacker group Anonymous just threatened Elon Musk and potentially even Tesla or Tesla owners by virtue of threatening Elon Musk, given that they are a hacker group and Teslas are mostly electronic and led by a lot of autonomous software. So folks, let's talk about and break down what Anonymous had to say, but beyond just talking about what Anonymous has to say, I'm going to provide some facts, data, and background. Keep in mind though, right now, this video's release is coming at pretty bad timing for Elon Musk. People are very frustrated over Elon Musk's tweets and his dealings with Dogecoin, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrencies in general. And this is leading a lot of folks to be not only frustrated, but feel like they're losing thousands or collectively millions of dollars as a response or potentially as a result of Elon Musk's tweets. With that said, let's get into the message from Anonymous here, and let's see what you think. We'll add some color and clarity. Let's see. All right, this is the intro. Yeah, dark and scary, unlike my background. Not dark, not scary, kind of colorful and fun. Okay, let's get into it.
Greetings, citizens of the world. This is a message from Anonymous for Elon Musk. For the past several years you have enjoyed one of the most favorable reputations of anyone in the billionaire class, because you have tapped into the desire that many of us have to live in a world with electric cars and space exploration, but recently your carefully created public image is being exposed, and people are beginning to see you as nothing more than another narcissistic rich dude who is desperate for attention.
Now, obviously, this desperate for attention fact comes from Elon Musk's Twitter efforts, but it doesn't help that Elon Musk was just on SNL with an entire episode dedicated to him, dressed up as Wario in one scene, and, well, other characters in other scenes. It certainly kind of plays into the Anonymous message here. And it is also true. People are very excited by the thought of space exploration, Neuralink, electric vehicles, a sustainable future. It is a very popular sentiment because that is a direction that society is heading in. But let's keep going here.
It appears that your quest to save the world is more rooted in a superiority and savior complex than it is in actual concern for humanity.
This is essentially the feeling of elevating yourself as somebody who has almost godlike powers to get people to follow you.
It has been obvious to your employees for a long time, who have faced intolerable conditions under your command for years. It is also obvious to the young children working in your overseas lithium mines, which are destroying the local environment as well.
These are not Tesla companies or Elon companies. These are companies who do source lithium, and some of them do use child labor, and this is exactly why Elon Musk has tried to escape not only purchasing materials from these companies, but also getting away from using things like cobalt, which cobalt is probably the #1 material when it comes to determining, or is child labor used? Well, I don't know. Is there any cobalt in it? The odds of child labor being used when it comes to cobalt are substantially higher than any other kind of material or mineral. This is one of the reasons many manufacturers are trying to escape the use of cobalt. Let's keep going.
You have been open about your willingness to stage coups in order to install dictators in places where your toxic products are being mined. You have even prematurely crowned yourself Emperor of Mars, a place where you will be sending people to die. Your fanboys overlook these issues because they are focused on the potential good that your projects can bring to the world, but you are not the only show in town, and your competition is growing more intense with each passing day.
This is a pretty strong slam at just the Tesla brand in general. It's kind of a concern that a lot of investors in Tesla already have, that, oh my gosh, there's so much competition. The Ford Lightning and Lucid and Mercedes and BMW and everybody's coming out with EVs now. Tesla's dominance is going to go away. It's a really good pain button to push. It's a really smart thing to include in their messaging because this line right here is something that could potentially send a little bit of a shock into existing Tesla investors. And I would expect that Anonymous's ideal goal would be seeing a nice drop in Tesla's share price on Monday because, hey, it just amplifies the messaging, right? Especially if news pieces come out. Tesla drops after Anonymous video, right?
There are plenty of other companies working on space exploration and electric vehicles.
Except, unfortunately, none of them are landing rockets back on drone ships.
You are just the only CEO who has gained a cult following through shitposting and trolling the world on social media. In fact, Many people are now learning that the vast majority of Tesla's income doesn't actually come from selling cars, it comes from government subsidies, selling carbon tax credits for your innovation with clean energy. This technically isn't your innovation though, because you aren't actually the founder of Tesla, you simply purchased the company from two people much more intelligent than you are, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning.
So first things first, history on Tesla. Elon Musk joined the engineers that were just pictured, Mark and Martin, to help run Tesla Motors. And Musk took pretty much a managing role in designing the first electric car that Tesla manufactured, the Tesla Roadster. But not only did he do that, when he joined in April of 2004, Elon Musk invested $6.35 million of Tesla's $6.5 million Series A funding round. That's over 90%. And by doing that, he actually became the company's chairman. So he actually didn't have this fallout, which we're going to get to with Mark and Martin until about 2008 and 2009. So you got to scroll the wheel back to 2004 and realize that Elon Musk came aboard Tesla as a welcomed managing partner and investor. So I want to make that clear again. In 2004, Musk invested $6.35 million of $6.5 million available in Series A funding. It's like the first equity raise. That's a lot. And 2 years later, in 2006, after Elon Musk funded the company, over 90% again, and was one of the managing directors and was a chairman, Tesla unveiled the prototype for the first version of the Roadster, which finally launched in 2008. Now, Mark and Martin, whom Anonymous is saying Elon Musk just kind of stole the company from, remember, they worked with Elon starting in 2004, and it wasn't until the end of 2007 that Martin and Mark ended up leaving the firm, and Elon Musk invested another $20 million into the company. So he started with 6.35 back when the company was basically about to evaporate, investing 90+%. Then in 2007, invested another $20 million. Finally took over after Martin and Mark left because of disagreements with how quickly they could fulfill orders and design disagreements, many other disagreements. And ultimately by October of 2008, kind of like right around the time the recession was happening, Elon Musk invested even more money into the company and ended up becoming a CEO at the company, or I should say the CEO. One of the reasons he became the CEO was because it was also very difficult to find a CEO, since there really were no other CEOs for electric vehicle companies that had the startup culture, because they were kind of one of the first. Now, this kind of switch in leadership here was not super easy, because a year later in 2009, Mark and Martin ended up suing Elon Musk and Tesla, accusing Musk of forcing them out of the company they founded, but they ended up dropping the lawsuit. Now, something important to note in the Anonymous video is they show something that looks like an official document, but this is really just formation paperwork from 2003 when Tesla was created. And again, yeah, it was created by Martin and Mark, but we just went through a whole lot more color on Tesla's real involvement here. Especially since after Martin and Mark dropped their lawsuit, so they didn't even feel confident enough to go through with it or fund the lawsuit, whatever, Tesla was at a point that it was basically going to go bankrupt. It had roughly $10 million of cash on hand, which was pretty much less than what it actually needed to build cars. And it wasn't until in 2009, Daimler ended up buying a 10% stake in Tesla for $50 million. That cash infusion briefly gave Tesla the opportunity to survive until, of course, Tesla got finally a massive $465 million loan from the US Department of Energy, allowing them to survive longer. Now, that was a loan, not a tax credit. Now, this gives you a little bit of a history as to, yeah, okay, Tesla wasn't like some rich company and Elon Musk didn't just come in and steal the company. There's a whole lot more color involved here.
Tesla has also made more money holding Bitcoin for a few months than they did in years of selling cars.
Okay, so the problem with the carbon credit argument is actually interesting. So the carbon credit argument is that, hey, wait a minute. Elon Musk and Tesla receive carbon credits, and that's why they are profitable. And this is true. Tesla became a whole lot more profitable when they started receiving carbon credits and assistance from governments around the world. It's not just the United States, it's the state of California, it's Germany that helps them. I mean, look, for example, in California, you get a $1,500 California Clean Fuel reward for all new electric vehicles registered in California. You also get $2,000 or $2,500 as a rebate based on income for Model 3s and Model Ys. And again, you're going to see credits in places like China and Germany because governments want to see less carbon emissions. This is normal. Really what you're doing is you're just saying, okay, if Tesla had a break-even point or a point where they became profitable in, let's say, 2023, with carbon credits, maybe they can become profitable a couple years earlier. It's really just incentivizing and speeding up the path to profitability while also trying to make sure that companies that are innovating and creating new technologies don't go bankrupt on their path to innovation. But it is true, if you take out a lot of the electric vehicle credits, it's hard for Tesla to be profitable at this point. But Tesla's also only manufacturing 500,000 cars. Now that might sound like a lot, but keep in mind that Toyota manufactures 14 million cars. And so it takes a lot longer for Tesla to get to scale. Consider the fact that Austin, the Gigafactory that's being built in Austin, Texas, still under construction. Gigafactory Berlin, still under construction. Gigafactory Fremont produces about maybe 250,000 cars, but it should get to about 500,000 cars, hopefully this year, and in the future might expand to being able to manufacture about 1 million cars per year. And the same is true for Tesla Shanghai, probably on pace to do about 500,000 vehicles this year, so maybe Tesla can get about 1 million combined out of the door this year. That's roughly an expectation right now that Tesla's going to break 1 million vehicles. But the problem with companies and electric vehicle companies is the cost curve is very much like a half pipe. And this is relatively the concept of economies of scale. Costs are very, very high per car where you're losing money while you're creating manufacturing facilities. Same thing is true in NIO and other companies, Lucid, it's all gonna be true. And that cost comes down for every extra 1,000 cars you produce until you get to this beautiful sweet spot where you're finally at scale and you're able to manufacture companies or manufacture products and cars en masse without having to rely so much on those credits. But yeah, look, Tesla gets credits just like any other electric vehicle manufacturer. And yeah, that pisses some people off. For example, Michael Burry ended up shorting the company with a $534 million short position against Tesla solely because he believed, well, maybe not solely because, but one of his reasons was because he believed Tesla relied too much on regulatory credits for profits, and that was a big red flag. It's not a bad argument, it's just more of a temporary transitional argument. Let's keep going here.
Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Tesla has also made more money holding Bitcoin for a few months than they did in years of selling cars.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't exactly untrue. Tesla made over $100 million so flipping Bitcoin, so to speak. And that has pissed off a lot of Bitcoin folks. The big U-turn on Bitcoin has been a big problem. And this is where folks are really pissed about Elon basically being counter the hardworking people who, want to invest in things like Tesla or Bitcoin, and both of those have recently fallen substantially.
It is also more than likely that this Bitcoin was purchased with money from these government subsidies.
I mean, that's not a bad argument. The argument that, hey, look, I mean, if you're getting all this extra cash from government credits, I mean, even though you've got $19 billion in the bank, some of that came from credits. If you didn't have the credits, you wouldn't really be profitable, so where would all the extra cash come from? And now you're investing that into Bitcoin, which Bitcoin, now you're U-turning on because it's not super green? Wait, what? Are you confusing the argument here, or what's happening, Elon Musk? And this is exactly what Anonymous hits on next.
It is now widely believed that you have been forced to denounce your company's involvement with Bitcoin in order to keep that green government money flowing into Tesla's coffers. The energy use argument about proof-of-work mining is a very nuanced conversation that requires a fairly complex understanding of how power grids work, and how excess energy is wasted by power companies.
Yeah, here's a very basic explanation of what the individual here says, is he suggests, look, you can't just say that Bitcoin is bad because it uses a lot of energy for its proof-of-work model. And this is true, you can't just say that. Bitcoin it creates amazing opportunities to utilize energy in areas where nobody else can utilize energy. For example, if you have a solar farm in the middle of nowhere, you could set up mining rigs. And yeah, it's creating or burning energy over there, but nobody else would be using that energy in the first place. So it's not like you're really wasting the energy. The bigger problem that came up is that presently we believe 70% of cryptocurrency miners who use energy to verify transactions, 70% of them use some form of renewable energy. But the problem is the latest estimates are that only about 30 to 35% of energy used is actually renewable. So it's kind of like if you have a solar panel to power your coffee pot, it doesn't exactly mean you're using renewables for everything, right? And so if only about a third is renewable, that does mean that currently the other, 70% of crypto or Bitcoin's energy usage is fossil fuel based. And that concerns a lot of people. And this is sort of the argument that Elon Musk has been taking, that, whoa, wait a minute. We can't grow our Bitcoin use while at the same time trying to be pro a green future. We need to get to a green future and then increase our energy. Like, we can't just increase our energy usage and then try to have renewables to catch up. This is one of the reasons Elon Musk created the North American Cryptocurrency or Bitcoin Council to work with North American companies like Hut 8 to promise more renewable energy transparency. But anyway, let's keep going.
And sought out by crypto miners. This is a conversation that you have been having for over a year and were intimately aware of, but as soon as your main source of income was threatened, you pretended to be clueless in an attempt to play both sides of the fence.
Okay, so this is an important mention here. After this video came up, we spent about 4 hours trying to find any indication that Tesla had been threatened that their renewable credits would be taken away if they used Bitcoin or accepted payment in Bitcoin. There's nothing. There's literally nothing that says Tesla won't be able to get credits if they invest in Bitcoin. It's just an assumption. And it's important to say that because the way this is conveyed is that Elon Musk's income source was threatened. They're saying he only makes money from credits, and now that's being threatened, so he U-turns on all the people. Well, wait a minute. Sure, it definitely feels like he U-turned on all the people, but we don't actually have evidence that his income stream was threatened. We do have the implication, though, that maybe it was, because guess what's happening? Well, Joe Biden is looking at massive new plans for brand new EV tax credits and electric vehicle subsidies. In fact, the president has included $174 billion for electric vehicle subsidies in his $2 trillion infrastructure proposal. We also have the U.S. Senate Finance Committee advancing legislation on Wednesday, May 26th, that would boost EV tax credits to as much as $12,500 to EVs, or electric vehicles, manufactured and assembled by union workers in the United States. That's a lot of money. And we have a Clean Energy for America bill, which advanced on a 14-14 tie vote in committee, and it would eliminate existing EV caps or credit caps, which again also helps the EV industry. There's also another EV proposal led by Senator Debbie Stabenow, Michigan Democrat, and this would boost the $7,500 tax credit to $2,500 for vehicles or assembled in the United States, and another $2,500 for vehicles that are put together by labor unions represented in the United States. So in other words, there are massive programs for more tax credits coming, or there are massive bills with more tax credits coming, but there is a possible argument that, hey, well, wait a minute, if you're going to start using Bitcoin and accepting Bitcoin, maybe we're going to make you not eligible for those. Now, we don't know that. That's just speculation. It's speculation that, hey, well, if they use Bitcoin and if that's dirty, then maybe they're not going to be able to get some of those credits. We don't know. Right now, there's no evidence of that, but that implication is there. We also know that Elon Musk U-turned not because of knowledge he's had over the last few years, but based on what Elon Musk said, he actually U-turned in part because a coal mine flooded in the Hutubi County region of China, and that flood led to hash rates on Bitcoin proof of work mining to plummet 30%, implying that 30% of Bitcoin mined in China is actually driven by fossil fuels in this one area where the coal mine flooded, signaling a possible massive impact especially since most Bitcoin comes from China, signaling a potential massive impact that fossil fuels have and fossil fuel mining, like coal mining, has on the Bitcoin industry. And shortly after that, Elon Musk reported that Tesla was no longer going to accept Bitcoin as payment for Teslas. So you can see there's literally an endless amount of detail that's kind of missing, but then again, their video is only 3 minutes long, but it's kind of important to have these extra details.
Then, your move to create a Bitcoin miner council was rightly seen as an attempt to centralize the industry and take it under your control. Reading from...
in fairness, the trying to centralize the Bitcoin industry, there's no way China is going to participate, in my opinion, in Elon Musk's North American Bitcoin Council, and they do most of the Bitcoin mining. So to me, it's a little more symbolic than anything else.
From the comments on your Twitter posts, it seems that the games you have played with the crypto markets have destroyed lives. Millions of retail investors were really counting on their crypto gains to improve their lives. This is something that you will never understand because you were born into the stolen wealth of a South African apartheid emerald mine and have no clue what struggle is like for most of the working people in the world.
Okay. Apartheid emerald mine. Woo! The thing is, this sounds really, really, really bad. Like the way it's stitched together. And it's a problem because, yeah, if you look into the history, there was a mine that was bought in part by Elon Musk's father in the mid-'80s, okay? And we got to talk about this a little bit. So here's what we have. So according to Business Insider, in the mid-'80s, which was during the apartheid, Elon Musk's father sold a plane for about 80,000 euros to a group of Italians and then bought half of an emerald mine. And apparently had some sort of deal where he was collecting, and this was from an interview with the father, a deal where he was a half owner of the mine, and he got paid essentially in emeralds for the next 6 years, and talked about how this was lucrative and how they employed a cutter in Johannesburg and then sold stones wherever he traveled as an engineer or wherever holidays took him. So, I mean, it seems like a little inefficient way to sell emeralds, but I suppose that was one way this Elon Musk's father made money. Now, Elon Musk says this is a pretty awful lie. He says, I left South Africa by myself when I was 17, which would be around 1989, with just a backpack and a suitcase of books. He worked at his mom's cousin's farm and a lumber mill, and then went to Queen's University with a scholarship and ended up in over $100,000 worth of debt in college. So obviously different stories here, but it does look like the mine was probably owned right before, a few years before Elon Musk left South Africa, and then Elon Musk went to university. Now, May Musk says that they were pretty much broke, and this is Elon Musk's mother. She says, we could not afford to dine out. I had a client with a butcher. Once a month, he would give me a beef roast. I would cut it up in 4 pieces, freeze 3, and cook one away so we would have meat once a week. That was from an interview with the Huffington Post in 2015. And at one point, May Musk suggested that she had to work 5 jobs to make ends meet, including being a model at one point. So then you have Elon Musk suggesting that his dad is evil. In a Rolling Stones interview with tears rolling down his face, he said, my dad will have a carefully thought out plan of evil. He will plan evil. Almost every crime you could possibly think of, he has done. Almost every evil thing you could possibly think of, he has done. It's so terrible, you can't believe it. He was such a terrible human being, you have no idea. You know, when you hear this, it kind of doesn't seem like they got a good relationship. But yeah, I mean, look, people don't want to hear that the self-made, now billionaire, had a father with an emerald mine or an ownership stake in an emerald mine. But again, lots more details to know. All right, keep going here.
Of course, they took the risk upon themselves when they invested, and everyone knows to be prepared for volatility in crypto. But your tweets this week show a clear disregard for the average working person. As hard-working people have their dreams liquidated over your public temper tantrums, you continue to mock them with memes from one of your $1 million mansions. You may think you are the smartest person in the room, but now you have met your match. We are anonymous. We are legion. Expect us.
So, expect us is obviously a nice little cliffhanger of a threat there to Elon Musk. But yeah, I mean, gee, there's a lot to unpackage there, and I want to hear what your thoughts are. I mean, look, this has not been very popular for Elon Musk. Folks were just basically cheering F Elon at the Bitcoin convention in Miami, and that's happening this Friday and Saturday. And boy, oh boy, this is not a very pleasant threat to Elon Musk or, quite frankly, Tesla owners. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens in the stock market on Monday. But anyway, if my video last week talking about Tesla and a FUD and the culmination of the most amount of FUD I've ever seen wasn't enough, here's another piece to add to the pie. It's been a disaster for Tesla. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and folks, we'll see you in the next one.